So, here we are, another episode of perSPECtive, where we talk about... Dang it, I can't remember my opening.
We talk about interesting board games with interesting people.
I know, I can't... I recently came up finally with like a tagline, and I keep screwing it up every time. Okay, let me try this again. I'm good. I got this. Okay. Well, welcome to another episode of perSPECtive, where we talk to interesting people about interesting board games. Damn it, I screwed it up, didn't I?
Hold on.
You're going to need to write it across your screen.
I know, I need to... It's
every week.
People of board games. It's people then board games. Good lord.
I was running to shut our bedroom door, but I was debating about making you a cue card.
Yeah. Like, that'll work. Yeah, okay, let's one last time. Got it. Welcome to another episode of perSPECtive, where we talk to interesting people about interesting board games. Got it! Okay, good. I'm your host, Ryan Lierst, and as always, I got my co-host, Keegan Cole, with me.
Hello.
Hello, Keegan.
Hello, Ryan.
And this week's special guest, we got Gareth of Board Game Meatball. Thanks for joining us.
Hello. Yeah, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So this week's topic is games that are best at two-player, even though they have a higher player count. I know Keegan and I have kind of developed this list a bit over the months that we play at, just him and I at like our coffee shop. That we've just kind of been playing, and we're like, yeah, this game is fantastic at two players, and I'm sure...
To clarify, this wasn't just being developed during COVID times, because that will sound awful that we're hanging out at the coffee shop during COVID times.
Yes, this was before when we could go to the coffee shops, and yeah, I miss those, just sitting out, and they finally opened our coffee shop, so we got to play the other day.
And everything's socially distanced at the coffee shop. Tables are apart.
And so I'm sure Keegan and I'll end up having some like overlapping games of ones we found that we really love at the two-player count. I guess we can call it the minimum player count. So Gareth, tell us what your top 5 current favorite board games are.
Ooh, top 5 current. Currently, we are playing a lot of Tekkenu. So that's one of the first games recently where we played it 5 times, like every week.
Wow,
which is quite rare. That every Friday when we had a gaming group. So we're talking Christmas time. Something about that game just really was a nice balance of thinking, worker placement. So that's been really popular. What else have I been playing? Honestly, I should prep myself a bit more. Still play Viti. Viti's probably Viticulture.
Yep.
So still an old game, but that's my number 1 all-time favourite game.
Viticulture?
Yeah, Viticulture.
Okay. Have you
played
Vinhos?
Yeah, heavier. I mean, I've got that collection, but to play Viticulture, with Tuscany. So, I mean, this is like with all the add-on bits. We've introduced it through lockdown but online to so many people. I've taught it to maybe 10, 12 new gamers. So it's sort of games that, as a worker placement, I find it's not a gateway, but it's a nice entry level to some of the mechanics. We start them on the basic version and then move up. Still playing lots of Lorenzo Il Magnifico, so another older game. So that's a good tableau builder. Recent fave, Dominant Species Marine.
Okay.
That's bad.
Because that's one that Dominant Species was, you needed 4 to 6 players to really make it shine, whereas Dominant Species Marine works really well at 2. Now, I haven't played it 3 and 4 yet, but the original Dominant Species wasn't very good at 2, but that we played 2 or 3 times and works really well. So that's been a real hit, fortunately, and there's only 2 of us in the house. What else have we been playing? I guess the other game we play online is one like Ultimate Werewolf, which is just we play it loads with work every Friday.
Yeah.
So yeah, a whole load of work people play that. It's very accessible, so that's been played quite a lot.
Have you tried Blood on the Clock Tower with them?
No, I need to try that.
It's very interesting. It's probably
really
one of
fun.
my more favorite social deduction games. I mean, it as far as just like, it's similar with Werewolf, where you're gonna have a different. You kind of have your own little power or whatever. You have
Your role.
Yeah, your role. Thank you. But with this one, the interesting aspect is that everyone can, and it kind of works a little bit better online when doing it, is that everyone can kind of go off and have their own little private conversations. And we talked about this a little bit with Hammond that we were just recorded. And what's interesting is like it adds a next level depth of kind of deduction that you're trying to like suss out. Oh, these people are going to talk, and then they're going to talk with some other people a little bit later, and you're like, okay, well, I know this about this person. This seems a little bit like it adds another layer of complexity that you're trying to figure out. And I think
is there an online implementation?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it? Cool. Right. Okay.
I think the thing you need most for that game is a really good storyteller. Just like what Hammond brought up too. You need like any role playing game needs a good DM. This needs a really good DM as well.
Okay.
I mean, all you have to like, there's an app online so you can have like the seating and your assigned seats, and only like the storyteller can see who everyone is. But all you have to do that our group did, that they invited us to play with them. They have a Discord server that's specifically Blood on the Clock Tower, and they just name separate rooms like the church, the bar, like all the alleyway, and you're like, hey, you want to go talk in the church really quick, and you just hop into the new room and you can have a private conversation in that room. It's shockingly good on how well it works online.
amazing.
I was so surprised at how well it worked.
I would say like online almost gives it even a better. It's a little bit more fun because you can truly have that private conversation where it's like in person, you can kind of overhear everybody, and it may not give the same effect of like truly like, oh, they're like in secret
and actually left.
But I want to see their faces in person. That's the thing I would look forward to. Just reading someone's face, because you can tell when people aren't lying, so people can't hide it at all. Yeah.
You almost need just like everyone's camera on, and you can see them
14 people camera in the Zoom call.
But yeah, okay. And I see in your background I think that's Yokohama.
Yeah.
That's your Dead Winter. I just see it and I'm like, that's my favorite game right now. I love that game. And so
Dead of Winter. I haven't played that for so long.
In Dead Winter.
Yeah.
We were talking about playing that one, right? But it wasn't online.
I don't think so.
Yeah, no, we couldn't find it, could we, anywhere?
All right. A question we've always asked. What game do you have in your collection that you would never get rid of?
That never get rid of. Well, yeah, Vitigold would be an obvious one, but Zolkin probably.
Zolkin, okay.
Yeah, like that again is a firm. It's been with us a long time. I think. I guess we've been in gaming since about 2012, like in modern board games, and that was an early edition, and we've always played it with everybody. And we taught new players that. So that wouldn't get sold. I've got a lot to sell, but that wouldn't go.
Okay. Yeah.
We've only ever heard good things about Zolkin. I know.
Oh, you haven't played it yet, have you, Keith?
I haven't played it yet, but like Jamie Stegmaier constantly raves about it. Like he posts about it a lot, and he talked about it with us a couple times when we interviewed him. Like, I'm excited to try that game finally.
That one, it's very like the gears mechanic and just that whole timing of it is very interesting, and I think that's probably what makes the game shine a lot, is that just trying to master that timing aspect of everything moving around, and getting the most benefit as possible, and not trying to like overlap, placing them down where they're going to end up overlapping, where it's either you're choosing one or the other. You really want to try to time it where you get the benefit, then the next turn you can get another big benefit.
Yeah, honestly,
it's difficult.
That's the bit. That, if you get it right and it all just ticks and you're like boom, 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 and every worker comes off and you just pulled off like a killer move.
Yeah.
And it scales pretty well. I mean, 2-player, you put some of the workers on the cogs already, but it's okay 2, 3, 4-player. I haven't painted my cogs though, which is I need to do.
Yeah, I primed them. I need to do some dry brushing on it a bit, and I ended up getting what you'll see actually if you're following our BG upgrade challenge. I bought there's like these little mini 3D printed.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, those ones, and they're all painted, and they have the grass around, and it's just like they don't add anything other than just an awesome aesthetic to just the board, and you're just like, they're not needed, but they're so much fun, and they look so cool.
So good.
Yeah.
I went to get them, and they currently don't ship to the UK because of the whole Brexit thing. Mm-hmm. So I should have bought that before we left. I hope at some point they'll sort out the shipping. But those are lovely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So maybe I'll post that today as my upgrade challenge day. Okay. Yeah. How do you feel about the other T games, as we call them?
I've got them all. Mm-hmm. Trismegistus, which we played a couple of times. I think that was about. I think that's really good, but man, the rulebook is rubbish. That rulebook sucks.
It's so bad. It's so bad. I think this guy complained about enough, but the fact that the blue and the black and yellow are the things that are supposed to line up, like why are they not the same color?
Yeah.
That bothers me a lot too.
Yeah.
Yeah. The game itself I really enjoyed once I got my head around the rules, but it's just so hard. It's so inaccessible to get into.
Yeah.
And then Tukatan, again pronounced badly. Haven't played that much recently, actually. That's not so.
Oh, I love that one. I love Teotihuacan.
Yeah, I haven't played that for a while. The expansion next year, or this year, I guess, when it gets released, depending on who publishes it. See what happens, because that adds bits in between the boards, I think, doesn't it?
Oh,
I haven't seen what the newest one's going to add.
There's another expansion at some point. I think it was due whenever, but with all the all the problems going on with the publishing and his statements. Mm-hmm. I don't know when it'll get published.
I think that's one of my favorite of the T games, the Teotihuacan.
Yeah.
That one also I have a whole bunch of upgraded bits for.
Do you?
Yeah, and even I have actual stone pieces that just the weight of them.
Okay, that is proper upgrade.
Yeah, you just hold them and you're like, yes, the weight of this unnecessary, but I love it. Yeah, and then actual metal gold pieces, obviously not gold, but just metal, so they have a weight to them. And I am very much an upgrade person.
I think it's cool with the T games too. Just I feel like every single T game is someone's. I don't think there's one T game where someone's like, this one's garbage. But universally, someone says it's bad. I feel like everyone likes one T game more than another. Yeah. Even in our case too. Ryan loves Teotihuacan. It's my least favorite one out of the bunch that I've played. But yeah, it's cool. The different designs are great of those games.
It's very much like Feld, right? Where they're every single Feld is someone's favorite. I saw on Instagram, I can't remember who it was, but they're like their most favorite Euro, and it was Notre Dame, and I'm like, what? Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
People like what they like.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's currently my sale list. That's definitely in the sale pile currently. Mm-hmm. It's okay, but there's better games. Yeah, but everyone likes their own stuff, so that's what makes it great.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So you got into, I guess you said, modern board gaming about 2012, almost 10 years ago. What got you into it?
So as a child, my grandparents played games.
Mm-hmm.
There's a game called Buccaneer, which I'd at some point grab off eBay. I guess it's like a trading ship game. You have these really cool emeralds.
Okay.
I guess it was actual components compared to rolling dice.
Yeah.
And then, in my teenage years, there was Talisman, Games Workshop stuff. Mm-hmm. A bit of D&D, Blood Bowl, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And then there was a massive gap. PlayStation's got in the way, and various teenage and 20-year-olds. Mm-hmm. And then about 10 years ago, our kids were sort of 4 and 5 at the time, so starting to play they're on the iPad, they're playing computer games, and we got to get off having this. So I bought a couple. What was the first? I remember Lords of Waterdeep was something that my wife would say then, not a gamer, not into board games, and I bought Lords of Waterdeep home, and then she loved it, and that was a massive win, because that was like, yes, we've made progress here. Yeah. So Lords was early on, which I think was about 2012. So then 1 became 2, 2 became 4, and now we've got too many. So I think those early years, and I've got a friend who's just going through this currently. There's so many games. Like, even then there was a lot of games, and now it's just there's so many being released every week.
Yeah, I know, right?
And you're trying to build a collection, and you're going, well, I need a 2-player game, I need a 4-player game, I need solo games, and before you know it, you've got 50 board games, and it's space hungry. I think it was those worker placement games at the time, like Small Worlds. Okay. Those, all the kind of standard sort of fare. But these days it's worker placement, my favourite mechanic, and probably more on the medium to heavy kind of games. Okay. And I talk to some of the other guys on Instagram we talk to. I'm usually more the heavier side of things.
Yeah, that's where I lie. I'm on the heavier worker placement Euro.
The brains work.
Yeah, we were just talking about that actually yesterday. We were recording with Hammond, and I think Hammond and Keegan are the more tactile side, and I was like, I'm more of the heavy Euro worker placement ones that can get your gears and trying to actually figure out how all the mechanisms go together, and okay. And so now, obviously, you got your wife now really into it, which is awesome.
That's good news.
Yeah, right?
You always just need to find that one game to bring people into the hobby. That's always what it is.
Yeah. I think we'd had one of the games we played. I think we had Catan, but we used 3 players, so that was never any good. It was Lords, and then Lords got a load of my friends in. Like, again, they would never say that. I mean, they would never said they were gamers. And then I think it was actually some work friends who we saw outside of work, and we were away somewhere in a hotel, and I brought Lords with me, and next time you see them, they both bought a copy each, and they bought other games, and you're thinking, like, you guys were never gamers, but now we see them. Before lockdown, we've seen them every week, so I've been playing everything. So it's Lords is that game for us that introduced loads of people to it.
Okay, my introducing people, it's been Wingspan for me, and I have a coworker, and then her roommate. Her roommate's a bigger board gamer than her, but like having them over and come playing games, and then introducing Wingspan, they really enjoyed, and it was just from there it was easy to then start branching out and getting her to actually like some more board games and enjoying that. And I'm like, it's really fun to see someone who probably didn't do it as much before, and then starting to really like it.
Yeah, it's great.
My wife would play games with me too, but I remember the first one she was like, I love this game, was Clank, I think, came first, but then Orleans, she got really obsessed. I think the first time we played Orleans, I got it from my Secret Santa on Board Game Geek the first year I did it, and we played Orleans 4 times that night in a row.
Dang.
We just loved it.
Okay. That's one of our favorites. Yeah, that would be. I think that's in my top 9. Absolutely,
It's so good.
So good, and a really good 2-player as well. I don't know whether that hadn't ended up on my list actually today, but maybe it should. That's a good example.
Which I guess thinking about so talking about gaming with couples is a good way to kind of segue almost into the topic of games that are really play best at 2-player. Mine, and I'm sure this is the one game that Keegan and I will have a big overlap. It might have been one of our first. No, I think there was another game that came before, but one that we really loved, Geekopolis. One we talked about.
On my list.
Yeah. Oh man. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. It's 3-week crossover to start with.
Okay. Yeah. So, and we've talked about this game so much just because both Keegan and I love it for. I mean, probably for the same reason. Even though this game probably leans closer towards what Keegan loves in games than I do, but I still there's something about 2-player with the almost hate draft element that comes into it, where that you just really don't get that with more player counts. I think just elevates it a lot more. In games I really love when you can hate draft and play that that meanness or whatever in it. So I think it just with 2-player that game really starts to shine, especially because like it really becomes what the game essence feels like is playing against your opponent, whereas I think more player count you almost start to become almost play just for yourself and harder to become playing your opponent because you're it's just like this tug of war with that with controlling the influence in the districts is I think it just works so much better at 2 players.
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, I was going through the games earlier and it popped up and we played it 2-player probably the most. But it's that back and forth and that putting that tile down and then completely trashing that scoring mechanic for them. knowing that it's I wouldn't say it's conflicts, but it's not aggressive. It's just it's just a nice optimal move, and you're just taking points off them. And then it's that tug of war, I think great description. They put it back. It's a cracking 2-player game.
I think it's. Go ahead. I was gonna say it's really satisfying too when you have like the refresh your hand tokens and you have a hand where like these are all good for my opponent and nothing feels better than going I'm gonna use this and then fan the hand and go this is all going to the discard pile and seeing the reaction. That game's so good.
Yeah, that was the game that one of quite many that I played one time with Keegan. And I was just like, I instantly had to go out and buy it and try to find it. And at the time, this was before the reprint that just came out. So it was just like trying to find it was difficult. And I probably paid more than I could have now just getting the reprint. But I was like, I have to have this game. I love this. And have played it several times since. So it was worth it.
I think I put it up Board Game Geek. They came with the expansion, so it wasn't so bad in terms of the price combined. But it's enjoyment. The prices now, the reprint, it is what it is. But it should be everyone's collection. I don't see a love for it.
Yeah, and I think what also makes it so great too is that it's tile laying, and you kind of think that this may need a lot of space, but it really doesn't. You could sit at a small table with two players, and that's where we played it first at our cafe, and you really don't need a whole lot of room for it. It is a game that you spread out a bit, but you don't really spread out a whole lot. You might go out a couple tiles, but really you kind of keep it centered because you want to grow that map. The tiles up is where you're getting all your points and resources. So
it's one of those games too where if you're a person that reads rules before you buy the game, don't trust just reading the rule book for this one, because you read the rule book, you're like, this is nothing, but you play it and that's it shines so much in there. Just buy it and try it. It should be an evergreen game.
I think it's 5 pages. I mean, it is a really light rule book, and I agree. It's but when you start playing it, and it is those killer play that card and get that one tile you need to make a super scoring. It's cracking.
And it's all I'm sure people by now have been like, wow, these guys have been paid to talk about this game because they raved about it so much.
Those games that I talk about, but a lot of people have never heard of because it was out of print and it was quite niche. So it's good that I mean that's a good start in the game that we all agree on. The other game I've got is Race for the Galaxy. That was an early game for us, 2-player. So you can play it 2 to 4, but we've only ever played it 2 players. It's so fast. Have you played it?
I have, but I haven't played it yet.
I've played Roll for the Galaxy, but not Race.
Yeah, race was the original card form, but every card is that you play it, and if your opponent plays it, then it weakens it. But if you're exclusive, then it's just more powerful. But as a card game, it's again perfect 2-player game. Wouldn't really play 3 and 4. But yeah, I think Roll, and then there's the board game version as well, isn't there?
Is it? It's not High Frontiers, is it?
High Frontiers. Not High Frontiers. Yeah, Frontiers. I think maybe.
I'm trying to remember what it is too.
New Frontiers.
Yep.
Yeah. New Frontiers we play a lot, 2-player. But Race of Galaxy, and again, it's a deck of cards. You can take it pretty much anywhere with you. Some of the advantages.
Is it a multi-use card game?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well then, Keegan, I have it, so I know you're going to want to try it.
You brought up a worker placement's your favorite mechanic. Multi-use cards is my favorite thing in games. So I played Roll because I thought I was a person who thought, like, I'm going to be a dice guy. And I played Roll for the Galaxy. I was like, I'm not a dice guy. Maybe you can just stick with cards.
Yeah. I actually, one of our friends was just like, this was before COVID when we were doing our large monthly board game nights. He just like one day came in, had a whole bunch of board games. He's just like, here, if anyone wants these, take it. And ended up grabbing the Race for the Galaxy, but haven't played it yet.
Need to play it.
Next time
next time you go to the coffee shop.
Yeah. Okay.
Bring it.
Remember to bring it with me. Yeah. It always just sits on like at this point now I've been a little over 2 years. No, it was 3 years or so that I've been doing board games, and I've completely run out of space in my living room of all my shelving, and it's in my utility closet has now been taken over by board games, and it's completely filled. And now my board games are just sitting on my floor next to my couch because I have nowhere to put anything. But yeah, that just it ended up in my one other closet, and so I always forget about it that it's there.
It's one of the games. It looks quite intimidating because you got to explain that if you play this card, then it varies depending on what the other person plays. But once you get your head around it, it's very accessible. It's just a slightly trickier accessibility.
Yeah, there's a lot of expansions for it too, isn't there?
Yeah, 2 or 3. Yeah.
Cool.
But we generally always go back to the basic version, get our head around the rules again, and then we add something in from the expansions.
Cool.
But yeah, the base is perfect. We don't need.
That's always great in a game when the base. Yeah. What was Hammond saying, that he always comes back to the base even with?
Oh gosh, I can't remember now. What did he say?
Which game it was, but talking about like just keeping on theme of like these cards and card games. I know this is probably another one that Keegan and I are gonna have. Keegan, I'm just gonna take all the games here because we're gonna just overlap them all.
I guarantee you this is not going to be an overlap.
This one that
I guarantee it. Yep.
Okay, great. Res Arcana.
Nope.
No, interesting.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, mine either. Cool.
But Res was another game that we would play at the coffee shop. But this one, oh my God, we've played so much, and this was probably one of my highest played games just because of how quick this game was. And I played it at all the player counts, but it has the Magic type feeling to it, Magic card game, and it's just like when you start adding more players, it just becomes so long, and you're like, no, this game is meant to be a quick, fast card game where you're just kind of like tapping all the cards and doing everything, gaining your resources, whatever. And as soon as you start adding more players, and you start prolonging it, because sometimes turns take forever, and you're like, okay, this has now been 10 minutes till my next turn, but this is supposed to be a quick game. It's 2 players. We're just like, we're going back and forth. We've gotten to a point that we did like speed rounds. Keegan and I we're basically taking our turns before the other person is finished, and then just we'll play a whole bunch of different drafting modes. It's I think 2-player is the best for this one, and I guess any type it falls under the. Is it LCG? LCG.
It's. I don't think it's any of like the.
No, it doesn't fall on. I'm saying it's like it's like
it
Magic.
Feels like
it feels like Magic. It feels like those games. So
I'm gonna have to go and play that again now. I think it's in the games I need to just check before it ends up in the sale pile. Mm-hmm. But now you maybe write it down and go and get another play.
It's very good. I was debating about putting it on my 2-player list, but I think I like it just slightly more at 3 because there's a good amount of cards in the game that are like you gain resources based on what your opponents have, and I think I agree 4 becomes a bit like too much, but 3-player I think is perfect because there's just enough. There's 8 more cards in the pool that potentially are going to be cards where you benefit off of what your opponent's doing. Mm-hmm. So having like just one extra person to kind of lift up the potential to gain more essence, I think is just something I like slightly more than as a 2-player variant.
I wonder how that work. Like if they keep putting out expansions with more and more cards, if it's going to feel that way. I wonder like if it just becomes less and less card, like percentage-wise. What's that?
But bloated.
Yeah, it's like bloated and like the set becomes so diluted, there's a chance that those cards don't even show up.
Yeah, then I think at that point it really becomes a 2-player then, because then you don't have to really worry about it.
I can see that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think speaking of card games, I'll stick with the card game theme as well for my first not crossover one. Mm-hmm. Innovation, I think, is only playable at 2 players in my opinion. We talked about this recently too, but Carl Chudik, he's also the designer of Glory to Rome. So if you want a mean card game for 2 players, play Innovation. If you want a mean card game for more than 2, play Glory to Rome.
Yeah.
Mainly because I also think that Innovation has like one fault. Sorry, my cat. Go. There's one cat we have 2 cats, and the one constantly follows me everywhere and has to constantly be in my lap. And then I know where she goes, I'm over it and wants to leave. And she gets stuck on my pants all the time. But one thing I think with Innovation that I wish they would have packaged in the game is some type of small sheet to track, because Ryan, I don't think you've played Innovation yet. I keep wanting to play it with you. Gareth, have you played Innovation before?
Yeah, but I play more Glory to Rome.
Yeah.
Even 2-player, but yeah. I played Innovation. I enjoyed it.
It's fun if you like games where every card is overpowered. Like every card in this game is like, what does that do? And they're all unique cards, which is great, so it's never going to show up more than once, but every card has...
Is Innovation the one that has like the automatic win card?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we played it once.
Okay. But like every card has like all these symbols on it. And the hard part with this game, if you don't have like on BGG, you can print a tracker out. You have to track how many of those symbols you have and how many symbols your opponent has for all 6 or 7 different symbols that are in the game. Because if you have a card, you activate a power, which in this game they're called dogmas. If you activate a dogma and it's associated with a certain symbol, but your opponent has more of those symbols than you do, they also get to activate your power, but then you get to draw a card. And having to like casually glance down constantly, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can't play this card. 1, 2, 3. I can't play this card because he's only at 3 of these symbols. It's so much better if you can have like a board and a little pawn that you slide up and down to track where all the numbers are, which I think the BGA implementation is great because it's exactly that. It has a number in the top right corner. It shows the symbol and go, cool, I have 6, Ryan has 5. I'm going to play this with no consequences. There's also 4 expansions for this card game that I have never gotten around to playing with yet because it's overwhelming. But the base game itself, I think, is a really fun 2-player game where you just want to feel like you're doing constantly ridiculous, overpowered things.
Yeah, it's a good choice.
I think I can't fully remember it. I can't remember if you were just like teaching me it. And
I think I was just telling you about it because I don't think I've ever. I brought the card game over, the card box over with me once. We never got around to playing it.
Oh well, because you wanted to try playing it, but then it ended up becoming that you started bringing Glory to Rome over, and I think we ended up playing that one instead. Earlier we were talking a bit about like hate draft, and I think there's some games that like lend to itself to the hate draft more, or like it really only shows up when you look at 2 players. And one of the games that Max and I really like to play together is Bunny Kingdom. It's always like this weird, like you look at it maybe on the like you're at a flagship store and you just go across it and it just almost looks like a kid's game, right? Because it's just like these bunnies. There's like just this cute little cartoon like artwork, but you go and play it and you realize, oh, can be like if you're playing at 2 players, can be really mean. And what comes out in the 2 player is that normally at higher player count, you're just passing the cards around. You just take one, pass it. But at 2 players, you have like 2 separate decks, and when you're passing it, you take one and then you just trash another one. So it becomes like this hate drafting of like, I cannot let you have this. And it's just like, it's just so much fun because we'll both be sitting there kind of like looking up at each other and you're like, no, I can't let you have this. And like, or just secretly like, and you're just like, I don't know, like, I don't know why I love it so much, but it's just like that constant back and forth with each other of like, no, I want this one, but I need to get rid of this one because you can't have it. Okay, I'm gonna just get rid of this. Hopefully you're not gonna take this one and it'll just come back to me because it'll actually, you have the opportunity, like it'll be passed back and forth quite a bit. You don't have to feel like, will this even get around with 4 players? Will it even come back? You actually have like you can try to chance it and be like, play that push your luck with it a little bit too. And
I think we play again. If 2 player works a treat. I'd say that satisfaction of trashing the card they desperately, and then showing them as well is even more. That is. I've forgotten about that one. That would be on my list now. Now you reminded me. That is a good game, 2 players.
Yeah.
I think I prefer it. Yeah, I prefer that 2 player than anything else. Yeah, it's a good example.
It's like one of those. It's one of those deceptive games of like, oh, this is not like, don't play this with kids because they're gonna get mad or whatever because they want to play a certain card, right? You're like, no, this is for more like, you're like, it's okay to be mean with each other and like you may not necessarily want to do that with kids or someone you're teaching, right? And you're like, but even though it has like these cute little bunnies and whatnot, you're like. It's like with Root, right? Where like you look at it, you're like, oh, this is cute little, but then you look deep down and you're like, oh, dang, this is real
really
mean.
dark. This is dark and mean,
ruthless.
So, I love it. I played Max showed it to me once, and I'm like, God, yes, I love this so much. But,
what about Imperial Settlers as card drafting?
I really love that one.
We only play that 2 player. I mean, I think it goes up to 4, maybe. Yeah. But again, it's a bit like the other game earlier. It drags out once you get past 2, I find. So we play that. Again, 2 player works a treat. Again, similar. You can trash cards. You know what people are collecting. I mean, the amount of expansion content is
so much.
Replayability is awesome. Yeah, I think that was an early game as well in our collection. I think that whenever that, I don't know what release date was, but that was maybe 7 or 8 years ago.
Okay.
So that's still happily in the collection. Last never the time. You guys played Imperial Settlers?
Oh yeah, I have. Did I show you it, Keegan?
Yeah, me and Max played a 3-player game once. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was one game that like, I ended up just randomly playing online. We were just kind of looking for a game. We're like, oh okay, I've heard about this, played it with 2 players, and I'm just like, damn, this is so much better than what I thought it was. And I was like, oh god, I had to get it. So I went out and then bought it, and it came with like the organizer, and I was like, oh, this is perfect. And it has the wooden upgrade pieces for me, and I was like, love this. And then I was just like, all right, read this expansion, and got them all. And now it's just like, I have all of it, and it's really interesting to see like the different faction powers because they all do play a little bit differently. But like you're right, it at 2 players, because this game does feel like it's more of a fast-paced little engine builder that dragging it out doesn't feel like, it doesn't give you the same sense playing it. You're like, no, this should be like quick and you're kind of moving, getting. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a really good one that at 2 players and is like has such a replayability with it because of all the different factions and the decks. There's so many cards that you can go through.
I think that's one that we always strip back. We go back to basics. So we haven't played it for maybe 6 to 8 months, and we go, how all these factions work? Well, let's just go back to the Romans and the barbarians. I think it is.
Yeah.
Nice and easy to start with again.
Yeah. Gareth, you give us another one.
What else to pick up? Glass Road, Hugh Rosenberg.
Ooh,
You played that?
I want to.
No,
I used to. Our friend loves Uwe Rosenberg, and he always gives me trash about this because I played Agricola and I hated it, and then I came back to it last year and immediately fell in love with it. I was like, what was it? What did I do to myself? And I'm obsessed with Uwe now, but I haven't got a chance to play Glass Road yet.
Yeah, Glass Road's. I think it's my wife's favourite Rosenberg game. But it's two player. It's slightly different rules than like when you got 3 to 4 players. So you play until 5 cards have been played, and then you're out. So if you both play the duplicate card, and you only get half the power of the card. The card's kind of got two. It's got 2 benefits. If you play on your own, you get both. If somebody else plays the same card, then you can only choose one of them. And so you're trying to go, well, what are they going to play? And then when you get a full 5 card run and they haven't got any matches and you've maxed out, it's really good, really, really good 2 players. Again, I played it 3 or 4, but I'd always go back to 2 player. It's just been a better set of rules.
I feel like that one was kind of hard to get for a bit, wasn't it? Wasn't it out of print?
I think it might still be out of print. I think.
Okay.
Maybe.
I think I saw. I don't remember if I seen.
Yeah.
I think I saw someone in one of the Facebook groups selling it. I can't remember.
Yeah, right. What? I guess people on BGG Market are only selling it for $40, but there's a new copy for $120, and that sounds like a bad idea.
It must have got a reprint. I think I posted before on Instagram, and people have commented like this is one of those games they wish they could get, but that was a while ago. It's got the wheel dial, which I think was again an early game when he had these. When you move the resources around, the dial went with it. But yeah, that stayed the test of time as well.
Holy crap!
Cool.
It's on Amazon for $113.
Not doing that.
Not doing that.
Good lord.
Well, now I got to pick up Glass Road if I can find a cheap copy of it.
I know every
expensive.
time.
That's the problem.
Yeah, I know. Like, we've been talking about wanting to do an Uwe month since we did a Feld month, and I feel like the Uwe month might be slightly more enjoyable than the Feld month was.
I think so.
Yeah,
I'm gonna agree. Though it's
Yeah.
probably gonna take longer. No, because we've already played some of them quite a bit. But like, I guess we've
£65 over it in the UK. It's out of stock in most places, so it must be out of print. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, but there's probably there's not as many Uwe as Feld.
No.
So it'll probably be a bit easier, and since we've already played so many of them already, it'll probably be a bit easier than our Feld that we basically had to play all of them again. That was so difficult to do in a single month, and we didn't get to all of them.
If we do an Uwe month too, it gives us an excuse to play Bonanza, and that's a guilty pleasure.
I've never played it.
That's such a guilty pleasure game of mine.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Somebody else told me the other day I had to play it, and I said I've never played it. And they said you need to get it done. And
it's so stupid. It's like we have another married couple that are like basically family to us. Like when COVID started, we lived with them for like 2 months when it happened because we were just like we don't want to all quarantine alone, and they have a 2-bedroom place. So we just stayed with them for like 2 months. And Bonanza quickly became our go-to goofy game night game. And we still joke about it now. Like, we come over, like, you guys want to play Beans tonight? And we just call it the Beans game. And we just, like, randomly yell at each other, like, across the room, like, hey, Chris, I'll give you 5 stink beans for your coffee. Like, it's so stupid. That game's so fun. I know there's a 2-player variant of the game, too, which I have no idea how that's going to work, but I have to look into it.
I need to get that game played.
It's so stupid. It's great.
These podcasts for us has always been like with our guests when we talk about it, well, especially when we have like ones that we maybe have a list rather than just kind of chatting about board games, it's always just like, oh goddamn, there's always a new game on the list that we got to play.
Yep.
But I mean that's great. 'Cause
somebody posted is it Raj Ganji's Dice Charmers? Something posted this week, and that ended up in my basket. He's now arrived. Just pretty picture.
Raj the Ganges in a different game or
it's a roll and write.
Oh, the roll and write version of.
Yeah, roll and write little box.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah,
oh wait,
really nice.
Is there two of them? Is there a roll and write and a?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. I have the base game one if we ever want to try it.
Yeah, I want to try that one.
Yeah.
But Keegan, I think I got another one that'll.
Wait, I've only got to do one game so far.
Oh, okay, fine. I mean, then go quicker. Just.
You keep borrowing.
I know, I do. Right? Go for it.
This is probably the heaviest one on my list, so this will appeal to both of you.
Okay.
Antiquity is.
That's on my list.
Yeah, perfect.
Appealed to me, but I mean that one was such a. Oh, good lord, that game.
Ryan, I feel like Ryan has a hate relationship with Splotter games, except for Great Zimbabwe.
Yeah, I do really like that one.
But I love Splotter. I think their concepts are great, and this is something that got brought up yesterday too. About like when we were talking with Hammond, we were talking about games with this doesn't fit that category, but light or easy rules but emerging gameplay, and I feel like Splotter to a degree does this in general with their games, where like the rules are very hard to understand and there's not a lot of like interlocking mechanics. It's just here's the game, and then the game becomes you're not fighting the rules, you're fighting the players around the table, which are the games that I really love. And Antiquity is a game where you're fighting against yourself the entire game. And I think it's a perfect two-player battle game where I don't want to play this more than two players ever, I don't think. But even when Ryan and I played, like we played an hour before him and I started actually interacting with each other, but the entire game just sitting there going, I messed up horribly. What did I do? It's, I guess, like a quick rundown for people that haven't played it, since the Splotter games are hard to come by. You each are trying to build up a civilization, somewhat a civ builder game, but then every time you do an action, you cause pollution, and you're building pollution all over the map, and it escalates so quickly. And you're building buildings to help facilitate the moves you want to make, but the building pieces are polyominoes. It's almost like playing Tetris, and you have to rearrange within your cities, but then you quickly run out of room, so you have to make another city to get another board to put more pieces on. And it's really just you trying to figure out the best way you can deal with what the map is and how to not screw yourself over every turn.
Yeah.
Every turn.
Every turn. If you want to play a game where you legit are your biggest enemy, this is probably the best one.
Oh yeah, it's just like any move you make, even if like it benefits you a lot, you screw yourself. Either way, it's just like one step forward, it's just like 3 steps back constantly.
Every time. Yeah, you got to bury people as well, haven't you? In the city. You got death tokens, you got pollution, you got death. I've only ever played it 2-player, but it would be on my list.
Yeah,
it's a great example.
And even committing like your workers is such a commitment too, because you have to put your workers out to like, I want to harvest wood, but now this woodcutter is on the board for 4 or 5 turns and you can't get them back. So you're getting wood, but you also can't do any other actions with that worker for 5 rounds. It's a great balance of every consequence is bad. It's great.
Yeah. So and I think graphics wise people get offended by the graphic look. Actually, on Antiquity, I quite like the look and feel of it. You hear loads of people moaning about their games for the look and feel, but for that one, it works. It just is. Yeah,
I agree.
Components. Yeah, plenty of kits.
It feels antiquated. Just the theme of the game.
And it's just like the board. So when you start playing, everything's all nice and clean, and by like halfway, you're just like you have all the black circles just everywhere.
The second print run or whatever the print run is. I think mine came with black discs, but I think previously I don't think it was as easy. Was it cubes?
It might have been cubes.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Might be tokens.
Yeah,
might be chips.
they're just like everywhere, and you're like, oh, good lord, what am I supposed to do?
Gareth, do you know about
so
their new game they're releasing hopefully this year?
No, go on.
They have a new game called, I think it's called Horseless Carriage, and it's about the car industry. So
Oh boy.
I saw you got excited about Splotter, so I thought I should bring that up in case you hadn't heard about it yet.
I hadn't heard of that. I'm going to have to go and... That's another thing to look up. So is it like Kanban style car industry, or...?
All we know is like it's supposed to take place, I think, like that transition period from when they went from horse-drawn carriages to automobiles.
Okay.
Like that window of time, but otherwise I don't think we know much else, because I know they were focusing also like Great Zimbabwe got reprinted and it should be getting released I think next month, but
Is it next month?
Yeah, I think Horseless Carriage is supposed to be coming around like out around Essen time.
Yeah,
but
okay.
that's all we know.
Okay. Yeah,
I'll go have a look.
I have Great Zimbabwe on.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Not cheap games either, are they?
No, but they're so worth it.
Yeah, Great Zimbabwe. Yeah, like playing some of the other Splotters, I don't love hate, but Zimbabwe, I was like, yeah, okay, I really love this one. I wish it had some better artwork components. And it's just like I would love to just make a custom, like laser cut painted one. Just
I want to make a full wood
so
version
cool.
of. I want to make a full wood version of Zimbabwe. Like, Gareth, if we ever play games online, we should play that one online because it's.
Okay.
I think. Do you like Food Chain Magnate?
Yeah.
I feel like. I don't know how accurate this comparison is, but it works for me. It's like Zimbabwe feels almost like Food Chain Light, where it doesn't take nearly as long, but you still have the. Yeah, you still have the whole, like, I have to make a route to get to a thing, and you have to be able to pick up and deliver from specific routes. So all that's very similar there, but it's really good. It's a hard fight for me for first place for Splotter games. It's either Zimbabwe or Food Chain. They're really, really, like, 50-50 right now for me.
And that's got a reprint, is it, currently, is it?
Yeah, it should be coming out this month or next month, I think, unless COVID delayed the print run. But
Yeah. So one of them that I was saying earlier, Keegan, I think you and I may have an overlap. Istanbul.
Nope.
No. Interesting. Okay. I know. So yeah, Keegan, I think Keegan showed me this one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this was another like one that I played right away and needed to instantly get it. And
yeah,
it's this really, it's a fast paced just. What would you call it? Like a
race game?
Race game? Yeah, I guess so.
It's definitely a race, yeah.
Mm-hmm. That it's so small and fast that playing with more people, again, it's that it starts to bog it down where you're like, no, let's I want this should be quick. It's just because like unlike maybe Oracle Delphi where there's just so much more that you're trying to travel around, this is such a small play area that you're just like boom boom boom, do this and you get some resources, you upgrade it, and you're just trying to do like it just feels like an even quicker race game than say like Oracle Delphi. And I'm just like trying to add more. I think I played it with more and it's just like this game just felt far too long for what it is. I'm like, this almost feels like a filler game that you could play it and you know what you're doing.
I was about to say that. Yeah, I think for us it's a filler game. 2 players. It's maybe 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And suddenly you're one away and it's, I think my wife gets quite annoyed on that one.
It's always just like, I think with our games too, it's just like one of those that like, you're playing against the other person like, shit, I almost got this, I almost got it. And I'm like, only a couple moves away. Oh, damn it, you finished. Yeah. It's just like, I was so close. And it's so much fun. Even feeling like you were just like that 1 turn away, 2 turns away. You're like, it still felt really good because I almost had that. And so, Istanbul. And I saw recently, I think I saw on Instagram an upgrade one where they just had like the 3D printed cards. So like you're not just, I think normally you just have like your stack of the wooden circles, right? They actually made like a cart that sits your little merchant in it. In the back sits all the pieces. And
Really?
Yeah, it looks so much fun.
Unnecessarily adorable.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like it's like with the Zolkeen one. It doesn't really add a whole lot, but it adds that little funness that you're like actually moving your little cart around to the places. And
board gamers like stuff, so
I
it's
know.
Yeah.
it appeals to that.
It all looks pretty.
Yeah. Personally, I had one more on my list. I don't know how many you guys had.
I'm gonna do one more. Yeah.
Yeah, I can whittle it down to one. I had two, but I can just like say the two really quick and then just do one.
We can keep talking. We got a little bit of time.
Okay. Actually, I had three, so I'll just say two of them because they're really quick. Castles and Burgundy is great. It's not only good at two, but I think it's best at two because you don't see every hex in the game, whereas you play 4-player, you see every hex. So it makes it a bit more interesting at 2-player. Paladins of the West Kingdom.
That's what I was about to say.
Okay, I'm not going to talk about it then. I'll leave that one for you. And then this is the one that I'm on the cusp about, and I'm still debating in my head what I like more.
Mm-hmm.
Arkham Horror LCG. I am very much on like, do I like it more at 2 or do I like it more at 3? And I'm not 100% convinced either way yet. I like the benefits of 2 because I like the just back and forth and like this is a you and me type situation, like let's do this together. But 3-player, it gives you a bit more variability of like, you guys can go pair off, I can go do this on my own. Can you help me right now? Let's have a you me go this way together now this time. I think 4-player is still really good, but I think it can take slightly too long. And there's just how much it escalates. Great, we have to get 16 clue tokens. That's gonna take forever. Where like 2 and 3 is just such a sweet spot that I can't decide on which one. But I think if people are listening to this and are looking for a 2-player game, Arkham is perfect for a 2-player game.
It was a lot to get into. There is so much.
Yeah. It's a money sink.
Yeah,
it's a money hustle. Yeah.
It's a huge money sink.
I for that, like, okay, so thinking about that, Keegan, and then just we played our first session of Sleeping Gods. And I think you're right. I think with Arkham, the 2-player one seems to lend itself better, whereas Sleeping God seems more players because there's so many characters with that one. Being able to just have a few and be able to understand what they're doing instead of trying to manage an entire team. Whereas, like you say, where you're trying to like, you can't really go off by yourself in Sleeping Gods, but with Arkham Knight, you can all go off and explore, but having at least 2 people, you feel safe. You don't feel like, oh God, I'm by myself. You guys need to come help me. I'm screwed. Like with whatever, someone in the basement by themselves, right? Max or whatever, whoever's down there. Yeah, it was. I think Keegan, you're right. The 2-player with that one. We haven't played it, but
we play solo or 2-player. I can see a point for 3, having that extra person just to take some of the pressure off.
Yeah,
extra place. Yeah,
it's always nice to like, you have a seeker who can get you clues and like farm up the clues really quick, and then you have like the blue characters that are more about fighting monsters, so you have that protection. Then having that swing character of like either the rogue or like the red characters, the survivors, is so great because you're like, they thrive on chaos. Let's see what happens. And like when we played 4-player with Max threw a stick of dynamite in a room and killed 2 monsters and almost killed Aiden. So
that's right.
It's just
we
fun
played
having
with 4
that extra
players,
person.
didn't we?
Yeah, we did play 4.
Oh yeah, that was. Yeah, no, I think playing it at 2 would be even better than with all of us trying to. It's because then with Arkham, it does become with 4 players, you easily lend itself to a what would you say, like a alpha personality, right? With one person trying to control it, and you're like, well, I got my own character and I want to do my own thing, but you also do need to sort of work together. But whereas 2 players, you can kind of go back and forth.
Yep.
You don't have it probably doesn't have that alpha mentality as much to it because they can then go, they can have 2 characters they play, right?
Yep.
That they can do what they want to without having to be completely hindered. And I think it just the way that the game's set up. Yeah, I think you're right, Keegan.
Good choice.
Also, Gareth, I'm really jealous of you because you live in the UK, and the guy that makes really nice upgrade components for Arkham is in the UK, and the shipping to the States is awful. When I saw like the upgrade components, like, man, I wish I lived overseas.
I thought you were just gonna say, "I'm jealous you live in the UK."
I mean,
Stop
in general,
it.
that
Stop.
in general that too, but
I think my Arkham's in that wooden. He's in the wooden chest. Like mine's one of those with upgraded components.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know what would be fun, Keegan, with that is if we were like 3D printed little stuff for you that you could like, with all the different rooms, you just place them out, just almost like a Gloomhaven, right? Where each room could have like
Nice.
things, right? Just to get into the spirit a bit more, because like it was interesting when we played it, but I was like, I don't feel like I'm being drawn into the, because it's like very story based, and it's just like you kind of want to get drawn. Like we played one where the very first, was it the first one, Keegan? What was it?
it was the first scenario.
Yeah, where you're in the house, right? And you're just like, I want to get drawn into this house and watch it just get misshapen and whatnot. And it's just like with cards, I don't know, it doesn't draw me in as much. But yeah, so that's why I'm a little hesitant on wanting to go in myself on it.
Don't. I have all of it. Or not all of it, but I'm like.
Or like one that I'm just hesitant to want to like.
All of it.
No,
What's that?
I wish all of it.
Yeah.
I'm working my way through it.
Yeah, I got to the first. What's it called? A season? What's it called? What's the
Cycle?
cycle? Yeah, I've got the first cycle, but I've only ever got maybe 2 or 3 in. I need to play it more.
Yeah.
It's a lot of content.
Yeah.
You get a lot of content if you get into it.
I'm a very visual person, so like when having objects or something, so like when we play D&D, I've been 3D printing a whole bunch of stuff so that we're not just like we can actually have enemies and see where things are going. That with just a card game with it, it's just like why I don't want to like, I'm not texting you every day like let's play this. Like I like the story and like trying to like solve that puzzle.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm just not being drawn into it enough, I guess. But yeah, that's just me personally. One of my other games I know that was a little bit difficult to actually pick up for a while. I don't know how it was in the UK or not, but the first time we played with 3-player, and then really recently I played with 2 players, and I think I like it. I thought it was even better. Red Cathedral. It's fairly new. Have you played?
No, I hear good things though. I keep seeing it and thinking because it's quite cheap as well. It's not a crazy price.
Yeah, no, it's pretty compact and a nice. It's $35 or something, and
a lot of game in a small box. It looks like a regular, just like quick 2-player, get it out and play in 15 minutes box size, but it's a really solid, good hour game. It's really, really good.
What sort of game is it? I haven't really looked into it. I keep seeing it. I hear good things, but
what would you call it?
It's dice movement and like resource management and pick up deliver.
Yeah.
Because like the system is great in it because like you have a center board and there's 5 different colored dice on the board, and then when you move the die, you move it as many pips as are showing to the next section, and in that section then you would get whatever resources is shown there, but if there are additional dice, then you multiply it. So if you have 2 dice in that section, you would get 2 wood times 2 dice, so you get 4 wood, and then you re-roll all the dice in that section, and then the new pips that are showing are what people get to move. But then you can get upgrade pieces that you can slot into your player board, so it's like, if I do an action with my blue die, I also get this bonus now. And your bonuses can be really ridiculous. They're like, when my blue die gets its resources, I also get the resources for wherever the white die is. And you're just trying to build up the cathedral in Russia, like putting you claim sections of the cathedral and you have to deliver resources to it. But then if people claim sections above you and they build their sections before you, then you lose points because you're not doing your job efficiently. It's really good.
And I think what really shines, like the whole the dice around the circle and trying to move it is fun, but it's not really the game. The game is the tug of war between claiming sections of the cathedral and building it before your opponent. And I think that really shines more at a 2-player, because then what you really start to see is this, again, the tug of war and the timing aspect of when to claim it, when to hold off, save your gems to place a door, so that, because like there's 4 columns in which you're building this cathedral, but it becomes down to how many points you're going to get is based on like majority of how much you've built and like adornments that you've added to that particular column. But you only have so many adornments, so you're not going to be able to just place them out. You can't just take over the board. You really have to think about which column do I want to place this in, and when, and what time. And I think 2 players is where that really starts to shine, that the timing aspect. Whereas 3-player, you might not, 3-4-player, you might not get that timing because someone is just going to start playing, and you're like, okay, well, I can't. It's a lot more difficult to actually play it off and get that timing right.
Is there anything you'd compare it to?
A little bit. Do you know Iwari?
I've seen it. I know the box. I've never played it. No.
So that one too is it's just like you're not constructing it, but you're just placing your huts. It's either like you're playing your huts in a certain area based on the cards that you have in your hand.
Yeah.
Or like your totem to like control like areas around it to get points, but it's purely about timing. In that game's purely timing, and it's just like, I think they're very different games, but this timing of when to play it, I guess, is
okay.
a good. There's no resources at all. It's just purely this idea of like, yeah. Do I go to this now? Do I wait? Do I see what they do? Do I like, I need to sneak in now and grab it? Was my most optimal time.
I'm also going to check that out as well.
Yeah,
honestly.
It's not like super innovative or anything. I mean, I think like the idea of like the die multiplier, like depending on how many dice you land in a section, you multiplies what you get. I think is the most innovative part about it, but it's just the way the game connects everything. It just works really, really beautifully.
Yeah. There's not much to it, which is like it does not
it's
overload
even better.
it.
It's
right?
a light game.
Yeah, it's very light. It's very easy. There's two, 3 things that you're choosing from basically on your turn, and it's just like there's so much that like I guess we could have talked about that yesterday.
Emergent gameplay.
You're just like, okay, this is super easy to teach, but there's so many like decisions that you're just trying to make between those 3 of that timing. When do I? This is a perfect time to grab use the dice and grab all those resources that I need, because dang, there's already 2 dice on one. If I go, there's going to be 3. That's going to be so many resources that I can just set up and be able to boom, 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 build. Yeah, that.
Components are top notch too. They're excellent. For $35, you're getting so much game and a high production value. It's probably out of all the games that came out in 2020, it's by far the best value for your money.
Yeah, I think it's 28. I think everyone says the box is full to the brim because it's there's nowhere.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to check that one out then. Thanks.
You can squeeze it in somewhere on the shelf.
Yeah. Be on the floor. I had Castle Burgundy. We've talked about that. So the 2 I've got left are either Paladins or Hotel Grand Austria Hotel, or Great, whichever you want to say.
Okay.
So both of those we play exclusively to. In Paladins, I'd never played more than 2. I think it's just honestly. I think I may have played 3-player, and then it's just a really poor experience. It's dragged out for so long.
My first
4. Keegan's first one was 4 players.
My first game was 4, and it took 3 hours, and I was sitting there like, I want this to end. I like it, but it's too long.
Yeah. It was like it took us as long as a feudum, but it's not as much as feudum. You're like, good lord, this took way too long. This was just agonizing to wait to your turn. No.
So I think Paladins, 2. As you know, it's a little bit solitaire. I mean, there's plenty going on, but that's there. Then is it Grand Austria Hotel?
Yep,
it's a Grand Hotel. Yeah, that's that we play again. 2-player. Carrie, the wife, loves it.
Yeah.
The dice rolling, the card placement, the scoring mechanics always randomised with the pieces.
Yeah.
Fantastic 2-player. Obviously got a reprint with the Kickstarter recently.
Yep.
So
I did that. I think
everyone gets to play it.
Did Max do it, or did I just do the Kickstarter?
Max did it too. I was gonna do it and I backed out of it.
No. Max has the copy. That's right. Max already had the copy.
Yeah, I have a copy of it. Like Max and I both have copies of it. Max has upgraded components already, and then I was gonna do it too, and I was like, I need to save money. I like the game, but not enough to like get more for it.
This is one of the few games, one of the few that all three of us really like.
Yep.
Yeah.
Really like. Yeah. I don't know. I liked it. I really enjoyed it at 3 players. I don't think I played it yet at 2 players, so I'll have to see what that's actually like.
I agree with you, Gareth, that it's so good at 2-player. Like, I bought it on Black Friday one year, or one of our local game stores had a huge Black Friday sale. And I picked that up because I only saw good things about it and played with my wife. And that was another game that after one play, my wife was like, I love this, let's play it again. Mm-hmm. It's very good. She destroyed me in it. She's so good at that game, and I'm awful at it. But
yeah, I get destroyed. I think the scaling is just dice, isn't it? There's just less dice. I think that's pretty much the only thing that scales.
Yep.
But works really well. I mean, I think 3 and 4 is okay, but we always pair exclusively with 2.
Okay. Out of the games that you brought up, Gareth, is there a favorite in there?
What would it be? Probably Grand Hotel, Grand Austria Hotel, I think.
Okay.
Would it? Race for the Galaxies. That's probably more sentimental. That's just a really. We played that. It's one of our most played games because it's so fast.
Yeah.
You get so many games.
One of the
done.
most difficult questions for a board gamer. Favorite.
Yeah, honestly.
Favorite.
Yeah. Ask me tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then Ginkopolis is that's.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's probably mine of my list for this Ginkopolis. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll always want to play it
yeah.
if someone says it. Yeah. I think so. Yeah, we're coming up. We're about. Oh gosh. We're over an hour now. But I think if you want to come on again, we should do the best at 4 player, or like best at maximum player count.
Yeah.
That would be, like, just do the opposite and see what that. Yeah. Comparisons in games.
I feel like that's gonna be harder.
That one's probably gonna be harder
because some games I've not played maxed. I've not always played games at maxed.
Yeah, because as I was thinking about some of the games, I was looking through them like 2-player. No, this doesn't really work at 2-player. Like, you could play it, but it's just not. It doesn't. It's not the same feel as with some more players.
I guess to clarify the rule for that, then are we gonna also say like max player count only with base game?
Oh god, yeah. Base game max count.
Yeah.
Or we say at 4 player count. Like if it goes 5, 6, that becomes really difficult because that may super be hard to find. I would say like great at 4 player count. 4
player.
4.
Okay.
Yeah, higher player count. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
But,
let's do that.
Appreciate you coming on. We'll.
That's all right. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So and everyone can find you at on Instagram at Board Game Meeple. Do you just do Instagram?
Yeah, website's boardgamemeeple.com. There's some reviews there, but I'm pretty much on Instagram. Okay. You'll find me there. Yeah. Come and say hello. Drop me a DM, come and chat. Mm-hmm. Always open to talk about board games.
You do what you said you do. It's a weekly one you do?
Yeah,
right?
So we started a new show. So we're using that 4-way, the 4 people. So we invite 3 other guests on every Wednesday. Time moves between 6 and 9 o'clock, like UK time. And we just talk about usually one topic specifically, but Kickstarters, what people have received this week. It's called Board Game Chit Chat, which I don't know. Chit Chat, is that? Yeah. We just chat about games. That's gone really well. So we've had a lot of people having requests and not wanting to join. So you guys in a couple of weeks' time, be great to join us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Excited.
If you want to stay on too after I end the recording quick, I'll just wrap this up. Well, I appreciate everyone tuning in, and until next time, we'll see you later. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.